Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Bay State Backcountry. I'm your host, Bob Tremblay, and here we are in north central Massachusetts on a very hot and hazy, humid July day. So, despite the conditions, I'm going to head up to Ashby, Massachusetts to go up Mount Watatic so I can actually do some skiing. So, how are we going to do that? Grab your backpack and come along, and I'll show you. All right, we've arrived. I told you we're going skiing, and here we are at the entrance to the Mount Watatic ski area. As you can see, the gate behind me is closed because the ski area is closed. The ski area isn't closed for the season. It's been closed since 1983. So this makes a very interesting hike to the summit of Mount Watatic because we see the remains of the old ski area, but we also see how Mother Nature quickly returns and is kind of wiping away that history. So as we will be ascending on the old ski trails today to the summit of Mount Watatic, the second highest summit in Worcester County, where we will have a complete 360-degree panoramic view from the summit. So weather is looking a little kind of threatening. There's a possibility of a storm. I'm going to start hiking now and get up to the summit before it gets too wet. So I'm on my way. Hiking in on this old abandoned road, we still haven't reached the parking lot yet for the ski area. But it's interesting as we're hiking in here as we can see how the plants and the trees are all coming back and are obscuring the road. In addition, the wildlife is coming back. So right now I am just about to turn the bend and be in the parking lot, and what we can see here is behind me we actually have a beaver lodge. So the beaver have moved into here, and the beavers have reclaimed this parking lot and have turned it into their own little private beaver pond. And the fact that we have a beaver lodge here, this is actually where they live. This is there's probably some inside there right now. Is what's kind of appropriate about having a beaver lodge here at the base of Watatic. Watatic is a Nipmuc Indian word meaning Beaver Lodge Place. And they called the mountain Beaver Lodge Place because the mountain is shaped in a very kind of predictable beehive kind of conical shape, exactly like this Beaver Lodge right here. So Watatic is named Beaver Lodge Place. We have a Beaver Lodge right here, and the Beaver Lodge itself kind of makes a little topographic model of Mount Watatic. So very appropriate that we find this here. The last time I was actually here was in 1982. The ski area closed in 1983. When I was here in 1982, I remember people parked in the parking lot, the T-bars going up and down the hill, the snow guns blowing snow, and right here was the ski lodge. And all that we have left of the ski lodge is the concrete foundation. And so this was where people came and they bought their lift tickets. They came and they used the facilities. They had a place to warm up. There was a snack bar, hot dogs. I mean, this was a really active, busy place at one time in the winter. This was an exciting recreational resource back in the day. I just think it's amazing to see, is having closed in 1983, how everything has just been kind of overgrown and the nature's coming back. I've said that already. What I'm going to do now is actually hike up the old ski trails and see what we can find of the ski trails, what used to be here, see what's here now. Mountains are really interesting places to visit because they're timeless and they kind of stand solid and it's kind of steady even while change is happening all around them. I mean, at one time Mount Watatic was covered by ice during the ice age when the glacier came. So a lot of change has come here. So as I hike up, I'm going to be looking for all that kind of signs of how people have used the mountain, how it's been affected by nature over the years, and just sort of take it all in. But I do remember when this was a busy, active place, people getting their skis and their boots, and now it's just quiet, just wildflowers and beavers. So I'm gonna head on up the mountain. So the Watatic ski area closed in 1983, and not too long after, the land was purchased by a cell phone company, and their intention was to build a cell phone tower up here on top of Mount Watatic. And so towards that end, they came out here and they built this service road. So this would have been a service road they would have driven up to kind of maintain the tower. But as that was happening, the people of the town of Ashburnham and the town of Ashby, people didn't want to see their mountain basically become private property. And so a coalition was formed, and the residents got together, money was raised, and the land, the mountain, was purchased from the cell company. So the cell company put in this service road, but they never put in their tower. So once the towns of Ashby and Ashburnham acquired the mountain, they gave it to the state of Massachusetts as conservation land. And so now this is a combination of state forest and wildlife management. And there's all kinds of hiking trails, and this really is a spectacular place to hike up, get this 360-degree panoramic view, watch the sunset, watch the sun rise. Really a beautiful, beautiful place in the fall. A lot of people come here and watch the hawks migrate. I'm going to continue on to the summit where this big view is. I'm very close, so I'm getting excited. It's been a long, hot hike to this point. Oh, I love this point of the hike when I see this exposed natural granite. And this granite here was exposed thousands of years ago when the last great ice age came and scoured the top of the mountain off and exposed this granite. But now that I'm here, I'm actually on the summit of the Beaver Lodge place. So here we are on the summit of Mount Watatic with our 360-degree view down into central Massachusetts and to the north into New Hampshire. Skiing's not so good, but the weather's held. Good day for a summer's hike. So for many years here on the very summit of the mountain, the state of Massachusetts had a fire lookout tower, and for obvious reasons, the height of the mountain here gives a vantage point of just looking over hundreds of square miles of forest. And so having a lookout tower here to prevent spot forest fires was an important thing. But after the ski area closed, the lookout tower was abandoned, and it stood here empty, and it used to stand right here on these blocks. And so during that period where the mountain was for sale and the service road had been built, what happened is right around 1996, 1995, a hiker came up here on his own, and he went up the staircase to get the view from the height of the tower. The tower is about 70 feet tall. And when he got to the top of the stairs, he wanted to go inside and see the view from the cabin. So he actually climbed around the walls and went through the windows to get into the cabin on top of the tower. And then when he was inside, he went right into the middle of the cabin, and he was standing in the middle, and the floor gave way because it had been abandoned for a long time. As he fell through the floor, he hit the back of his head on the floor as he went down, rendering him unconscious. So at that point, he fell straight through the center of the tower, unconscious, and landed probably right where I'm standing right now. So he came down on his feet. When he landed here, the pressure broke the knobs off of his femurs, and he lay in a heap, unconscious and broken and battered. I don't know how long he was here, but fortunately, because of the access road, some other people came running, probably an hour or so later, came riding up on all-terrain vehicles, and they found this injured hiker, and they were able to throw him into their ATV and bring him down for medical care. And as far as I know, he survived the fall. But after that accident, it was just realized that this unattended tower with a hole in it was just too dangerous of a distraction for hikers that are coming up here. So it was removed. And so all that remains now of the lookout tower are these foundation blocks. So, kind of just one of the many stories of Watatic. Behind me here, you can see the Watatic Range running north up into New Hampshire. And if it weren't so hazy, we could actually see Mount Monadnock, and on a really clear day, we could see Mount Snow in Vermont. And all of these mountaintops, back during colonial times, as the colonists were down below, kind of settling the valleys, the Indians still maintained the hilltops, and they used these mountain summits as their means of communication. And so they used to relay messages back and forth using signal fires from here all the way to the Watatic Range. Signal fires could link over to the Green Mountains in Vermont and all the way up into southern Quebec. And so the natives of this area maintained these mountaintops and ridges as part of their communication line. And it's interesting how people's needs remain constant, but the technology changes because, of course, years later, the development of radio, there were radio towers up here, and now a lot of our mountaintops have cell towers. And so it's interesting is that these large geographical, topographical summits serve and used by our societies as a way to kind of communicate back and forth, whether that's by signal fire or whether that's by cell phone. It still serves the same purpose. So humans aren't the only life form that uses these mountaintops. Also, hawks, migrating birds, use these mountaintops, the Watatic Range, Mount Watatic, Hunger Mountain, Wachusett Mountain, and all the other mountains going down south, is the migrating birds and hawks use these mountains as stepping stones for their fall migration going south, and they also kind of follow them back as they return in the spring coming back north. So these mountaintops serve as landmarks for the migrating birds, which is really kind of nice because you can come up here in the fall, and a lot of bird watchers come up here and they watch the hawks and sometimes even eagles kind of flying by on the mountaintops on their annual migration. So humans use them for communication. Birds, hawks use them for navigation, and also pilots, small engine pilots, use a lot of these mountaintops as landmarks as they're navigating around in the local area. This is Bob Tremblay. I look forward to seeing you on the trail for our next episode. Thank you. Bay State Backcountry. Today is wow, let me start. Yep. State Backcountry. I'm Bob Tremblay, and I'm out here today. Abiento. Bone shells. I told you we're going skiing, but sorry.